At least 17 million Kenyans are jobless, almost half of the country's entire population. 11 million of the unemployed are young Kenyans below 35 years of age. It's hard to wrap your mind around such statistics, but it's also easy to believe that youth unemployment could well be Kenya's ticking time bomb. While tensions built up in the contested general election, young Kenyans took their frustration outside. For the first time, Kenya was confronted by the faces of her unemployed population.
The moment people know that they cannot change leadership through the ballot, then democracy ends there. Then people explore other means.
The country's future hang in the balance.
We do have a deal.
But at the brink of collapse, mediator Kofi Annan led crisis talks in Nairobi, bringing the two disputing sides to a consensus. 28-year-old Alex thought that handshake would change his life. He has to move from one odd job to the other every morning, trying to make ends meet. Sometimes he'll make enough to get him going. Most times he's struggling to get a meal.
Hii kazi inanisaidia at least kujiweka busy, kitu ya kwanza. Ya pili ni at least nipate mapato kidogo ile naweza jilisha na naweza lipa nayo nyumba. Ukiosha gari moja at least unapata ile pesa unaweza save. Then ukisave ndio at least utapata njia ya kununua mita na tutafute venye tunaweza pata sponsor tuweke hata tank.
There are many more in Alex's shoes. But unlike him, a majority of those without any options have thrown in the towel.
We are sitting with a very big population of youth, slightly more than 3 million in number, who are indirectly hopeless. They don't wake up knowing what to do. Then we are also sitting with another number, which is almost 4 million of the youth, which is sitting between drugs, alcohol, all those type of activities. So that activity of alcohol and, doesn't generate workers. It generates people who just sit to watch others.
Part of the Kofi Annan agreement was to seek long-term solutions to address the high level of unemployment, especially among the Kenyan youth. A conscious journey towards creating more opportunities for Kenyans began. The coalition government sprang straight into action, or so it appeared. Launching their first youth employment initiative, Kazi kwa Vijana. The first of the program's 3 phases had a 5 billion shilling fund from Treasury. Kenya's young population grew hopeful. Until it all fell apart. The Prime Minister's office, which was at the time handling the Kazi kwa Vijana fund, was slapped with allegations of misappropriation. The politics took center stage.
KKV made commendable progress in youth employment creation by achieving 112% of the planned target.
How much was lost?
I want to challenge you, Mr. Prime Minister. Can you clarify the 171.2 million that in this breakdown is specifically at the office of the Prime Minister?
But Mr. Speaker, this is exactly what I was referring to when I talked earlier on, that we had requested that this project be redesigned and restructured so that it can best actually benefit the youth.
The design of the Kazi kwa Vijana initiative from the beginning was meant to be a conduit for stealing public money.
Imagine, tuko na watoto, tunalipa nyumba, tunanunua chakula, hatujaolewa, naona tukausha pesa yetu, turudi kwa tulikuwa tukafanya biashara zetu.
5 years after the Kazi kwa Vijana initiative was launched, Kenyans are still in the dark over just how much was used to create job opportunities for young Kenyans and how much was lost. The World Bank's audit puts the amount of money embezzled through that fund at least $1 million US. That's at least 80 million Kenyan shillings. The tragedy in this entire narrative, however, is that since 2008, the number of those unemployed has nearly tripled. Every year, 50,000 jobs open up in formal employment, but 800,000 graduates have to compete for these positions. 750,000 are left searching for alternatives. The informal sector created some 742,000 jobs in 2013. That's according to the Economic Survey. This was seen as a bridge to those who did not get formal employment. But those working in Nairobi's Juakali sector would beg to differ.
Ile kazi tuko nayo hapa sana sana ni kama contract. So kwa siku unachukua vijana kama 5. Unaona vijana 5 kwa siku. Kwa hivyo kila siku anachukua vijana 5. Sababu tuko more than 200. Siku hizi labda uchukua 2 ama 3.
Hapa kwetu tulikuwa najiri kama 4, 5. Lakini tangu tuseme tuwe na hii serikali, naona tu ni mmoja tu tumeajiri. Kwa hivyo imerudi chini.
It's a situation that is driving more Kenyans abroad in search of jobs. In 2013, I learned of the desperation of Kenyans working in the Middle East when I met young Kenyans in Dubai.
Dubai is a very funny country, or rather it's a very funny land. It's not more of what you have trained as more of what you can be, you know, or what you can do. Na sasa haukuwa na choice, unachukua chochote. Unaandika CV ya security, mimi sijaijua hata kushika rungu. Unaandika CV ya security, unaandika CV ya waiter, mimi sijaibeba hata sahani ati nimebebea watu chakula. Unaandika ushafanya kazi na mahoteli kubwa kubwa.
The demand for skilled and unskilled manpower in such fast-growing economies has caught the attention of young, enterprising Kenyans. But often, they have to brave tough conditions just to make a living.
When you come here, there's somewhere called Satwa. That's where you meet with other Kenyans. Then we decide today you're going to move this. That's where you're going to drop our CVs. Then tomorrow, after we meet there at about 8, we tarmac up to around 6. Then we come back. We analyze the day, maybe others where we go to different places.
Kazi zingine chafu. Yani msichana ako na period hata aoshi nguo yake anaiweka tu kwa sink na unaenda kumtoa kwa maji. Yani kazi kama hizo tu yani.
Nikipata wafanyikazi wengine wananiita kwa haraka niende kwa kitchen nikakule chakula juu nikirudi kwa nyumba sitakuwa chakula. Nilikuwa navumilia lakini nikaona heri nirudi Kenya. Nikateseke, nikakufia huko juu Kenya, there is peace. Yani una literal but there is peace in Kenya.
6 years ago, Kenya's political class made a promise to tackle the growing problem of unemployment, especially among the country's youth. But by the time Kenyans were adopting a new constitution, little had been done to help jobless Kenyans.
What the constitution did, for example, actually you will see youth unemployment. We actually even talk about employment, and you talk about recognition of the youth as a special constituency. So aspects of Agenda 4 was inbuilt into the constitution.
In 2013, the first election under this new law meant that youth could finally drive the political agenda.
And defend this constitution of Kenya as by law established.
The duo that eventually won boasted of being the most youthful team on the ballot. Even though the presidential results were disputed as strongly as the 2007 one, young Kenyans kept off the streets.
Mr. President, kindly have your 3 authorization codes ready to unlock the Uwezo Fund for public distribution to the women and youth of Kenya.
And barely 100 days in office, the self-proclaimed digital presidency launched their answer to the crippling challenge of youth unemployment.
You may now transfer the Uwezo funds to all the women and youth in Kenya. Press OK to finalize. Congratulations, Mr. President. The Uwezo Fund is now active.
To be able to move our country to the next level, to be able to grow our economy by double digits, we must tap into the talent, the expertise, the knowledge, the energy of our young men and women.
We want to engage with the youth, and we want an engagement, one of understanding, where leaders who the youth look up to devise solutions for their challenges and implement empowerment programs actually do what they're supposed to do.
But it appears the Kazi kwa Vijana initiative had already set a bad precedent for the Uwezo Fund. Most young Kenyans take the initiative with a pinch of salt.
Uwezo ni process, nilijaribu ni process, ukaenda niliachana nayo ni process. Na tena sijui ni kupeananga kujuana. Hiyo ati vijana kazi ilikuwa kwa mayouth. Sioni watu wako huku ndani, mayouth wako huku. Sasa mimi sijui ni kazi gani katiba ilikuwa inasema. Umejua katiba ilikuja lakini iku to differentiate which type of job.
It's clear that many young Kenyans know little about the Uwezo Fund. Not many seem to know where to get the information about the fund or how to access it.
Tumeambiwa mara ya kwanza wakati tulichagua government ya Jubilee ati manifesto za youth group itakamu isaidie kazi kwa vijana, lakini tumesikia lakini jai kutusaidia, na fununu tunasikia ati wameundwa, lakini hizo do hajafikia sisi bado.
Tuliambiwa tutapewa pesa ya youth tuanze kazi, bado hatujaona. Na ndio sasa tungeweza kuendeleza biashara vizuri, mtu akipata mkopo fulani anaweza tusaidia. Sasa hakuna. Na sisi nini kunaendelea kuchaguana vizuri. Kaambiwa tutarekebishwa mambo, bado mpaka wa leo tunaendelea kusubiri, bado hatujapata kitu.
Nairobi County, however, appears to be a step ahead.
And if you've been saving money, maybe you don't have enough, that opportunity can actually inakupita, sindio? Yeah, because you've not...
The county inherited the one-stop youth centers where individuals can come and get information and be trained on entrepreneurial skills.
Young people need to know about what concerns them. There's a National Youth Council, there's a youth policy that concerns them. There are various government funds that have been given to assist young people. For us, we don't offer employment. We are not an employment agency, but we provide information on employment opportunities, available. We also provide training capacity, because what we realized was a lot of young people who are looking for employment, one of the challenges they are facing is a lack of employability skills, which employers are looking for.
It is more or less like a meeting point for young people within Nairobi, and where they come to seek information about employment and to usually look for more information, be it with regards to opportunities, be it in business, be it opportunities in ways of fund, in access to government procurement and all those things, but information that is relevant to them.
Like many stakeholders, James identifies the glaring gaps in the Uwezo Fund that echo the failures of the Kazi kwa Vijana initiative.
I'll not say that the initiatives that the government has put in place are not working, but there is no sufficient sensitization as far as those particular initiatives are concerned, because we have so much. Each and every year, something new comes up for the youth. So much money is pumped up for the youth, but at the end of the day, does this money actually, is there sufficient monitoring, evaluation, or learning actually on whether these particular, for example, these funds are actually doing what they were intended to do?
The word look for numbers to vote for you is basically what generates all these activities. I mean, if you remember, Youth Fund was generated in a political rally by the President Kibaki. Uwezo Fund is a joint item, which is if you give us the votes, we'll give you the money. If we don't go for second round, we'll give you the money.
Economic analyst Karethi Murimi says the whole idea is completely misguided.
You can't solve a problem you haven't talked to. I think the Jubilee Manifesto had an area which hasn't been exploited, which is to identify the skill deficiencies, which was to talk to what do you need so that you can do more.
The Jubilee Coalition believes that sport and the arts unite a nation. The coalition plans to put up youth development centers in all counties. The centers will house a fully equipped library, an ICT hub, a social hall, and 6 sports pitches and courts to cater for football, swimming, basketball, volleyball, and tennis. Jubilee will also construct
in the manifesto the whole area of creative arts, the film production. You know, it's overwritten in the document, but we don't seem to have the strategies to actualize that, and that's where the actual disconnect. So my prayer is that somebody will start reading what they had written and start walking backwards.
The government has given a blanket solution to a problem that affects various counties differently. The United Nations Development Programme released this working paper in 2013. Northeastern was documented as having the highest rate of unemployment. Nairobi and coast regions took the next slots. But when you crunch down the exact numbers, Rift Valley has the highest population of jobless Kenyans.
Let's go to Northeastern. Let's enter the area. Where are those youth who have a form for education? So you immediately start seeing the issues. The issue is that that population cannot participate in some of the available jobs, even like police recruitment, because the education bar will already remove them. Because when you say you're looking for even IE, they are not there because they haven't gone to secondary school. Come to Kiambu and you enter the area. The majority of the unemployed youth in Kiambu are literally those who used to do coffee picking, who used to do tea picking. Those two crops are the ones which are giving way to construction. The Kiambu as a youth are not good in construction, so that work has absorbed other youth from other areas, but not the people from Kiambu. What does that mean? It means the insecurity in Nairobi is high because the population which is next to Nairobi is idle.
Rural unemployment is hardly ever a talking point. In the Rift Valley, at least 450,000 youths have no form of employment. This group feels let down by the leaders they voted in. The political promises of more jobs, more opportunities ended with the election.
Hatujapata job yoyote kenye tunaona kama serikali imetusaidia. Tulisikia kwamba ati maneno ya kura ikipita ati kuna pesa kenye watapatia vijana, mpaka leo hatujaona hiyo pesa. Hakuna vile government wamesaidia vijana. Vijana tu ndio wako na shida mingi sana. Wanapitianga challenges mingi na ndio vijana wanasemanga wako na nguvu ya kufanya kazi.
Tangu mwaka 2010 ambapo tulipitisha katiba mpya, ni kwamba tulikuwa tunaona itatusaidia vijana, lakini sasa hivi naona kwamba inatuumiza bado. Yeah. Maana unapata kwamba vijana wengi hawana kazi. Vijana wengi wamekuwa idlers, manake tunaona hata kama hii center sasa hii kwamba sasa vijana ni wengi, lakini ile tu wameingia ndani, ambapo kutokea kitu hapa hivi utashangaa kwani hao watoto walikuwa wapi, hawana kazi kabisa.
The challenge of youth unemployment is not unique to Kenya. The problem may be particularly severe in developing nations, but even a part of Europe is grappling with high youth unemployment rates. 50% of Spain's youth population is unemployed. It's a global emergency. Most countries have acknowledged this and are rushing to address the underlying issues. Experts say Kenya now has the opportunity to learn from these countries. Developed nations have maximized on youth centers to enhance mentorship through various projects. Most of these centers encourage young people to nurture and exploit their talents to make a living.
I will really want to make sure that the county governments transform the social halls to be information centers. Empower those social halls, get the informations, so that young people from different communities can be able to access that particular information.
The arts is the fastest growing youth sector in Kenya. More young people are getting into music, film, art, and design.
You know, I thought I was safe. Money is not a condom. Am I at risk?
What are you talking about?
HIV.
In 2012, the draft Kenya film policy noted that Kenya's film industry has the potential to employ up to 250,000 people annually and generate more than 40 billion shillings. Unemployment has largely been seen as a challenge for the national government to tackle. Little has been done at the county level to bridge the gaps. And in the 1 year that the government has been in office, there's been no single talks with the counties on matters youth.
In terms of wanting to solve the youth unemployment as an issue, they must, and I repeat, they must sit 100% on the same table with the governors. You cannot solve it sitting in Nairobi. It's not a ministry activity. You cannot even ask the ward Uweso to solve your problem because it's not the issue.
We need to integrate more and more business education into our curriculums. We need to integrate more and more life skills training into our curriculum. Something employment. We need to integrate things employment into our particular curriculums, because if we do not do that, this particular challenge will keep piling up, unemployment will keep rising.
The problem can be termed from as far as when they are in colleges. For instance, when we are trained in the schools, we are trained to be makers of the money, but not earners of the money, you know, like being an entrepreneur in a way, so that we don't rely to white-collar jobs. Like, what can I start? Most youths are like, I need to go to an office and start working.
3 years ago, the International Labour Organization said that the world was facing one of the biggest youth unemployment crises in a generation. But not all countries are facing this challenge. Singapore had and still has one of the world's lowest youth unemployment rates at 5.9%. And it achieved this by strengthening its vocational training institutions and, most importantly, changing the mindset of their young generation. Kenya can follow in that footsteps. And the Constitution gives clear guidelines on how to do that. But as experts say, until the political class is honest about tackling this problem, youth unemployment will remain a chorus that Kenya will sing for years to come. Asha Mwilu, KTN, Nairobi.